conference's best have gathered for the ACC Wrestling Championship.
When these guys go at it, they are exciting and they're confident.
Unbelievable. There it is. Holy moly. I love this sport.
What a year of wrestling on our Friday night duels. Nighttime has fallen in Charlottesville, but championship dreams have not. Tonight, inside John Paul Jones Arena, it's the final chapter of the 2022 ACC Wrestling Championship. North Carolina State has shot to the top. 7 finalists tonight, including freshman Ed Scott in his ACC debut, while Trent Hidley looks to cap off an unbeaten season with his second consecutive ACC title. Pitts Cole Matthews wrestled last year on one leg. He has both legs healthy, and everybody knows it's all about the focus, especially late on this Sunday night in the championship round. North Carolina State is in the driver's seat, an 18.5-point edge over Virginia Tech. The Wolfpack with 7 finalists. Virginia Tech sitting second, North Carolina third. Look for Pitt possibly to make up some ground with the 4 finalists tonight. And a pleasant good evening, Sean Kenny, Rock Harrison. We've been waiting for this moment a long time. Welcome to Championship Sunday. I'll tell you what, Rock, NC State just continues to get the job done in quest for their 4th consecutive title.
They have dominated this tournament like they've done the dual-week season. And now they're looking to take this momentum from the ACC Championship into the NCAAs, where they want lots of All-Americans.
A lot of big names tonight in the championship lineup. A couple of wrestlers who know what it takes to wrestle in the big moment. Jake Winsel was a national runner-up a year ago, while Mekhi Lewis won a title, brought the first crown to Blacksburg back in 19. 157 is where we start our championship coverage tonight. The defending national champion, Austin O'Connor, won a title last year for North Carolina at 149. He's bumped up a weight. Ed Scott, his opponent, just the 1 loss this year for Scott. These two did not meet during the duel.
Interested to see how they feel, both of them being up a weight class.
Ed Scott, redshirt freshman out of the state of Pennsylvania. Just really put it all together this year. He had a tough finish to close out last year. Really used that for motivation during the offseason. Been a bonus point machine throughout the season for the Wolfpack, but he is running into a buzzsaw tonight in Austin O'Connor, the defending national champion from a year ago at 149. Connor bumping up to 157 this year, just the 1 loss on the season.
You see Scott's taking a more measured approach. Usually he comes in and jams the underhook, but right now he's being a little more cautious with AOC, and understandably so. This is defending national champion, although it's at 149.
Earlier today in the semifinals, O'Connor just unleashed a 3-minute fury on Wade Unger. Opened up a huge lead, and then he was able to coast in the 2nd and 3rd periods to punch his ticket into tonight's final. Keep in mind, Scott, the 3 seed, this will be his 3rd match of the day. Started with a win over Connor Brady and then followed suit, knocking off the 2 seed, Keating of Virginia.
The first real offensive attack, and now they're starting to open up a little bit. Austin O'Connor's done a good job of keeping his right arm in to prevent the underhook from Ed Scott. So you see, every time Ed Scott tries to put that left side underhook in, Austin O'Connor puts that elbow in to block it off, to stymie that underhook.
Two wrestlers disengaged. 2 minutes into this first period, no score.
Ooh, a little roll action, almost with a little duck under. So they realize that they are the first match. You know, finals, trying to feel each other out a little bit. They haven't wrestled each other this year. But once points start to get on the board, that's when guys start to open up a little bit. can see that they studied, obviously, Ed Scott. Little sweep single coming right on up. That was a good sweep single. But good defense here by AOC. They're still in. They're still in right here as long as any part of the body is on the inside of the cylinder. So Sean, peep that out there. Ed Scott went for an underhook, but then when he went, he dropped down for the sweep single.
O'Connor coming off the national championship last year for North Carolina, the first Tar Heel wrestling title since '95, the 20th all-time by a North Carolina wrestler. You go back, C.D. Mock won a title in '82, Rob Cole in '88, and then the greats T.J. Jaworski won 3 of them. And now O'Connor a little shaken up after the exchange, just 8 seconds into this period.
You know what, Sean, we said that in the semifinal match that something wasn't, right with O'Connor. And O'Connor looks like he's trying to gut this one out. We're going up. This is what Ed Scott does. He's going right back to that right leg. The right sweep single. Little slip action right there. And what I saw was Coleman Scott looked over to Coach Jamil Kelly and gave him some signal.
O'Connor able to get out, but again, all the tension right now on what he tweaked earlier today in the semifinals. And a blood timeout. So let's take another look as they clean up the blood with Scott's exchange here with O'Connor and the reaction from Austin O'Connor.
Yeah, something happened there. And he kind of tried to walk it off. He's so tough. We saw it in the semifinal match. Then I talked to some of the people at UNC, and I said, is Austin O'Connor all right? They say, of course he's wrestling. He's good. He just tweaked something. But we're seeing that something is not 100%.
Year number 7 for Coleman Scott. 2008 NCAA champion for Oklahoma State. Olympic bronze medalist. What a job he's done in Chapel Hill. You look at these two corners with Pat Papalizio and Coleman Scott. Solid recruiting class after recruiting class. Mix in the veteran leadership that these two teams already had, guys like O'Connor, and it's a pretty good recipe for success.
Austin O'Connor shooting his doubles a little further out than he wants to be. He wants to close the gap a little more to get to the legs. It looks like he has to double up a little bit. Just one shot isn't getting in. He's going to have to double up to get to the legs of Ed Scott. Ed Scott's doing a good job here. He's in there looking for a trip here, but brings it to the match. Short time, nothing yet.
Well, you got to show some toughness, and Austin O'Connor has done that throughout his time. And his buddy Daniel Cormier, a great pitcher from this past summer. And you look at the relationship between those two. Cormier, the accomplished national runner-up from his days in Stillwater. He signed with Cormier and Zinkin Entertainment. We're excited to welcome Daniel to our ESPN coverage in Detroit here in a couple of weeks, Rock.
Yeah, he's an Olympian, UFC champion, and really good on the mic.
O'Connor ranked number 4. Recent poll, Ed Scott, number 11. O'Connor will start in the down position in this third period, a 3-1 lead. And twice now we've seen Scott shoot late toward the end of a period, both times coming up empty.
If we remember last year when Austin O'Connor wrestled Bryce Andoni and he got put on his back and had to gut it back to win in a tough match, now he has to try and gut this out in a different way because he's obviously a little injured. That's the second headlock that he's thrown, and you don't really see Austin O'Connor throw headlocks. So I'm just questioning, does he have the strength to push off? More blood.
And
More
another
blood.
blood timeout as Ed Scott will go into the corner. Scott's been a really neat story for fans around Raleigh. He walks out. His song is Seek and Destroy with Metallica, and that's going to be his motto this year. Bonus points galore for Scott.
That's what he's supposed to do, score points. Each year, Pat Popolizio, head coach of NC State, says you have to earn your starting position. It's not given. Just because you had a great year the year before doesn't mean that you're going to be the starter the next year. And Ed Scott is showing that 149 up to 57. He is the one to lead the pack at 157.
Scott really changed his lifestyle away from the mat this past off season, eating a lot cleaner, really not focusing so much on wrestling when he's not on the mat. He felt he had to create some separation between the two, everyday life and wrestling, and he's put together the perfect balance. Here comes O'Connor shooting in, waterfall position, over the top goes Scott. He's continuing to crack down as O'Connor.
He's trying to bring that ankle down and then hook it with his leg. Now he's going to try and pop his head up. This is neutral danger. That looks like a neutral danger, but he's going to try to pop his head out. This is looking tight here. The best scoring position for O'Connor thus far, but good fight by Scott. Good grip here. Stalemate. More blood. Man.
Just take a look at O'Connor's singlet. Drops of blood all over, splattered, and more on the mat. And this was a cracked nose that Scott had earlier in the day in his semifinal win. Not a lot of time to heal in a one-day competition. Boy, how beneficial is this to prepare for the NCAAs coming up in just a couple of weeks. Pat Popolizio, his 10th year in Raleigh, 16th year overall. New York native. 4 ACC championships in his time with the Wolfpack. 3 consecutive, looking for number 4 in a row tonight. His team in a primetime position to get it done.
Back to that single. Good defense. Ed Scott's doing a good job of finishing. But look, nothing. He's going to just stay here. You can just eat the clock here. You're just trying to get a baseball grip and work your way back to the center. He's got to keep it in the center. Take his time. Nothing yet. Out of bounds. Stall call. Absolutely right. Austin O'Connor was trying to avoid action. More blood. So we're about to see a flurry. We're about to see a flurry. We all see that Austin O'Connor is not 100%, but he's a defending national champion. He's just gutting us out.
O'Connor in search of his 3rd ACC title. Back-to-back championships in 2020 and 2021. And that is in jeopardy right now with the freshman Ed Scott. One last rush from O'Connor.
See what happens. Short time.
And North Carolina State starts the night with a bang. So much experience on this roster, but they have blended in some youth beautifully. And Ed Scott, one of the youngsters, making an impact.
He did what he had to do. He just goes in, doing what he was supposed to do. And here's a slick headlock, popped his head out, control, the only takedown in the match. And Ed Scott did what he had to do, and that's control and be the defending national champion. Good start for the Pack.
165 is going to be coming up. Jake Winsel, the national runner-up from a year ago. Justin McCoy, he's the only Cavalier in the finals. 16-1 this year for McCoy. Justin McCoy, the 3 seed, took down Gabe Dennett of Duke. Then he was able to fend off Thomas Bollard of NC State in the semis. Winsel, the top seed, able to get by Ulrey of Virginia Tech. So wrestling his 2nd match today. A weight, interestingly enough, that will send 3 on to Detroit. The ACC with a record 39 allocations this year.
And this conference getting stronger and stronger. I'm interested in this match because they did not wrestle in a regular season. There was an injury with McCoy. And so we want to go back to what happened with AOC. And this is the last portion right here. He tries to push off. And, you know, he's just tough. He's just tough. And we just hopeful that AOC gets healthier for the NCAAs. But hats off to Ed Scott. I mean, he beat a defending national champion, got a great career down at Raleigh.
Here comes the crowd favorite, Justin McCoy. Two-time NCAA qualifier. He was a runner-up last year, but that was at 157 in the ACC. He is bumped up for Steve Garland, and he will try to take down Jake Wenzel. Last year's national runner-up, always stoic in his approach. Never shows any emotion. So similar to his head coach, Keith Gavin, isn't he?
Not just Keith Gavin, but Jordan Lean is even-keeled, too. These guys don't get too rattled. What they tell their student athletes, they want them to be in the same mode, not to get too excited over certain moments, not to get too down, but just continue to wrestle. They're all about progression. They're all about process. So we're going to see Justin McCoy, who Coach Garland says is the best athlete on the team, against Jake Wenzel, who's just so solid.
Wenzel has won back-to-back ACC titles. Ironically, last year it was a Cavalier he beat in the finals, only it was Jake Keating a year ago. Push the fast-forward button, and now up a weight at this new class at 65. It's McCoy standing in his way.
We've seen how you take down Jake Wenzel, and you take down Jake Wenzel, well, he snatched that. Now he's going to take his time. Last year against Mekhi Lewis, he took forever. Now he put it up on his shoulder, and he will take his time with this. If you all remember that match at 165 last year with Mekhi Lewis, he was up for a minute and a half. Jake Wenzel is not going to panic.
As that leg up top, treetop elevation. McCoy tried to spin out of it. Wenzel says, nope, no you don't. Brings him right back to the center where he has plenty of pasture to work.
So the question is this a stalemate? Well, no, not quite. But they're looking for something to happen, and Jake Wenzel is going to continue to do his job. And because McCoy is a good athlete, he can hop like this. But we've got a minute and a half left in this period. Oh, he reached for the other leg. Nothing yet. We're going to get to some funk action. Look, keep it rolling. It looks like Jake Wenzel is going to try and put that leg in to get control. Control is established by Jake Wenzel. Like we said, Jake Wenzel is going to take his time in that single position. He lifted it and then dove for the other leg, got to the scramble, and came out on top. We're going to find out, Justin McCoy, if he has an idea on how to get out of Jake Wenzel. So here it is. The leg is up. He dives for the other leg, gets into a scramble position, and then Jake Wenzel was able to get the leg in to establish control. And right there, the official said, yeah, control is established. Control is felt. There's nothing in the rule book says what's control. Control is felt.
I know it's early in this match, but this is a pivotal moment here, I think, for McCoy. We all know Wenzel is a hammer on top. Now let's find out what McCoy can do underneath. McCoy trying to get the officials' attention underneath with the arm placement of Wenzel. Wenzel readjusts, still has the leg in firmly. Good riding position.
Yep, this is the way that Jake Wenzel likes to wrestle. He gets a takedown, and then he wants to impose his will on the bottom wrestler. So at this point, can Justin McCoy... Good popping of the hips. Pop the hips and put the leg right back in. So at the end of this period, McCoy's going to have to make a decision. Do I think I can get out of Jake Wenzel, or do I think of a better shot of scoring from a neutral position?
He's up on his feet, has tried to roll through a couple of times. Wenzel just so savvy, knew where he was, knew how much time was remaining, and he will ride him to the second period, a 2-0 lead.
Flipping up the disc, and we're going to see decision time. Red choice. McCoy defers. And Wenzel goes, he's going to take bottom.
One thing for certain, there is going to be a strong fleet of wrestlers for Coach Gavin and Pitt heading to Detroit in a couple of weeks. They came into the season hoping to get 5 All-Americans, no less than 3. Last year, they had the 2 national finalists in Bonacorsi and Wenzel. Both are back. Wenzel near the edge, trying to get away, and out of bounds they go. Nice job by McCoy to stay glued.
He stayed glued, and then he got himself out of bounds to stop that 5 count. The first time you wrestle someone like Jake Wenzel, you don't realize his strength. You don't realize what it is to be underneath him. I asked Jake Wenzel, I said, look, you might have a chance to be the first 3-time ACC champion in Pitt history. I said, are you excited about that? He said, nah, I'm waiting for 2 weeks, the Nationals.
Wenzel is away. He ups the ante. Now a 3-0 lead. 48 seconds of riding time, so he's not quite to the minute. McCoy trying to find some offense on his feet.
McCoy definitely needs to score here. He needs to score a takedown because when it gets to the 3rd period, assuming it gets to the 3rd period, he has to decide to stay on his feet, which is likely the scenario because right now, Jake Wenzel does not have riding time.
Both of these wrestlers hail from the state of Pennsylvania. McCoy from New Paris, Chestnut Ridge. Wenzel from South Park. McCoy was a 4-time Pennsylvania state place winner.
Sean, we've seen Wenzel wrestle, and this is a typical Wenzel match. Takedown, escape. Inside, underneath is McCoy, but again, Wenzel has been in this position before. He's not going to get too panicky. And what Wenzel does, he's just trying to just hold in and make it very uncomfortable for you to do anything. And he feels comfortable here, but at this point, up looks like we could get a neutral danger. Neutral danger, 2, 3, that's a takedown, and we're getting back points. And back points. So savvy, so savvy, so savvy.
The only team not named North Carolina State, Virginia Tech to win an ACC title since the 2015 season, Virginia. Some of the shots the last time they hosted here in Charlottesville, they were predicted to finish 4th that year, and they stunned everybody. They built a little early momentum, won some consolation matches, took care of business in the finals.
And interesting in that picture,
Cavaliers.
In that picture, you see Coach Gavin and Coach Lean, who were assistant coaches for that 2010 ACC championship team. Now they're going against their former boss, Coach Garland's.
And every time you talk to Keith Gavin, he just has nothing but good things to say about his former boss, Garland, the relationship that they have and continue to have now as rivals in this conference.
And he said he learned a lot at his time in Charlottesville. So this is something a little sneaky that Wenzel does. He'll try to get his hips across, and if he doesn't get his hips across, he'll try and get his knee to the other side. Stalemate. Coach Gavin, 2008 NCAA champion. Just a calm, cool character, and it just permeates to his team.
And he told us his presence in the corner is to remain calm. He says, these guys are already wired. They don't need me out there amplifying the enthusiasm. He represents the calm presence, and what a moment it was for him to come back to his alma mater, school that he won a national championship at.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you're seeing right here is Jake Wenzel imposing his style. And that's the challenge that people have, is how do you wrestle against someone that is so imposing, not flashy, but he gets the job done. Justin McCoy is extremely athletic. He's quick, he moves well. But Jake Wenzel is just showing that he's an NCAA finalist for a reason.
Closing moments of this title bout at 165 that has been dominated from Pitt with Wenzel, a 7-0 lead. McCoy says that's enough. And for the third time, Jake Wenzel is an ACC champion.
Third time. First in ACC history for a Pitt wrestler to win 3 ACC championships. Congratulations, Jake Wenzel. And here he does. He just takes his time, controls the situation, gets the takedown, controls the bottom, gets back points. We're just starting off, fans. Come back and see us. ACC championships.
You see Trent's brother Hayden before the smoke came down. He was the last voice in the ear for Trent before he makes his emergence on to the center mat. The relationship that those two have. Hidley looking to defend his title from a year ago, and will it be Gavin Kane continuing his story this season? Kane was one of 3 2 seeds for North Carolina entering today. Keyshawn Clark and Heilman in the lightweights. Both of those wrestlers lost earlier, so Kane has emerged holding the 2 seed and a chance to try to figure out a recipe to slow down Hidley. Shake of the hands, and we are underway. Quick shove off by Hidley at 184. Big snap down as well. Again, you just see the motor right from the opening whistle.
He comes in and pushes the shoulders, and he uses the underhook as a setup. His underhook is to set up either a knee pick, ankle pick. As I said, he goes right through this time. See, there's the hips of Kane. I mean, those are hips that are strong, because usually when Trent gets the underhook and gets across, most guys are just falter. But that's good defense by Kane. When we talked to Coleman Scott, and we said, well, what did Kane learn from his first match with Trent Hidley? And he said, the pace. The pace. He didn't recognize that Trent Hidley was going to go as hard for as long. There it is. Once again, it looks like back points right there. Right there. He uses that underhook as a setup. It is not just to hold. It is an underhook to attack. So he attacked the knee and caught Kane on his back and gets 2 swipes. Now we have a 4-0 lead for your returning ACC champion, Trent Hidley. Keeping the pressure forward. Once again, NC State, they're known for being good with their feet and really tough on top.
Sticking in the claw ride near the edge. You see Hidley just so wisely keeping his left foot in, slowly trying to maneuver Kane back in, but out of bounds they go.
So here's the underhook is used as a setup. Underhook, as soon as the underhook was in, he was dropping down. He wasn't underhooking and waiting. It was underhook immediately dropping down. So the underhook is used as a setup, and then he got them back points.
Hidley goes back to work, approaching 1 minute of riding time in this first period. Kane, again, just keeps springing up, trying to get free. Hidley down on the leg, trips him back and right in front of our scorer's table out of bounds. He's over a minute of riding time. Just another day in the office so far in this first period for Trent Hidley.
4-0 lead in accumulating riding time. For you new fans, riding time is when you get over a minute. And if you keep that advantage of over a minute at the end of the match, you get a point. Keeping the pressure forward. So a lot of times when you see someone riding, they ride the hips. But what Trent is doing, he's putting pressure forward on the shoulders. And when you put pressure on the shoulders like Kane, it's you put your head down. And then you get into the referee's head and the referee thinks you're stalling, but it's just the pressure. Really dominant right here. Stalling against Trent Hidley because he pushed He pushed Kane out, meaning he avoided action. I'm not mad at that call. It's a call that you don't see often, but how many times has you as coaches said, he pushed him out? Well, here's a referee that called it.
Let's see if Hidley is able to ride him out here for the final few moments. 15 seconds, short time wrestling. He has Kane all crunched up underneath. Again, the pressure just continuing to drive forward, all the weight on the toes of Hidley, putting a lot of pressure on the upper back, wrist control as well underneath, and Trent Hidley's going to ride him out. A 4-0 lead as they go to the second.
Carolina chooses Newt defer. At this point, Trent Hidley says, I'm going underneath. And at this point, we're going to see how good Kane is on top. A little too early for Trent Hidley. First caution. You get 2 free cautions. Third caution is a point.
It's interesting, both of these wrestlers followed their big brothers to their respective universities. For Gavin, it was following Devin, wrestled at North Carolina, and obviously for Trent, following the footsteps of Hayden.
Look at that aggression. This is just relentless. I mean, just relentless. That underhook. And if I can't get the legs, I'll come up to your hip. If I can't get to the hip, I'll come across your body. Relentless praise.
How's he changed the most this year? I mean, we've seen what he's been able to do. His resume coming in. He's, again, close to another bonus point victory here in the finals. He was so close last year, losing in the national championship to Aaron Brooks. Where's he evolved to become even more dangerous this season?
Trent Hidley has always been good. From his high school days, being a runner-up at Fargo, he's always been good. But this year, he says, I want to dominate. I want to separate. I want people to be tired. I want them to not want to wrestle me. And he's shown that this year. He's really trying to dominate in all positions, not just from the underhook, but he's gotten better on top as well. And as you see, he has 2 minutes and 35 seconds of riding time.
Like so many of these wrestlers, the international goals once they graduate from college big. And when you look at Trent Hidley, he had quite a year on the international front last year. Just like so many of the NC State wrestlers did. He took third at the U.S. World Team Trials, losing to Colin Moore in the quarters, but then he came back to really have his way in the consolation bracket, posted wins over some former NCAA champs, Miles Martin, Drew Foster, UNI. Stall call underneath on Kane. I mean, take a look at this. Over 3 minutes of riding time from Trent Hidley.
You ask where he's gotten better. Clearly, he's gotten better on top and made a commitment. Now, you can be better on top, but say, I'm not going to show it. But he's making a conscious commitment. But that's NC State wrestling. NC State going to be good on their feet and really tough on top.
He dominates the riding position, yet he doesn't lose a lot of ground scoring points. You know, you think you have 3.5 minutes of riding time through 2 periods. It's a 2-0 match. He still has 7 points on the board. So productive. And he is right back on the attack, and he will get 2 more. Goodness gracious. Trent Hidley up 9, looking for a tilt maybe near the edge, and the momentum goes out of bounds.
This is just relentless attacks. Relentless attacks. And I'm letting y'all know, Gavin Kane is a good wrestler. He's really good. He beat Hunter Bolin twice this year. And Hunter Bolin is an All-American. It's just Trent Hidley has just turned it on. He really wants to win the national championship this year. And he's made a conscious decision to get better in places where he was weak. We're approaching 4 minutes of riding time. 4 minutes in the ACC Finals.
We talk about approaching North Carolina State, approaching another ACC team title. If this match continues its course, another point given to Hidley. Kane tagged for stalling underneath. There's just not much he can do. He simply cannot get out.
He's getting dominated. And it seems like Trent has made a decision, said, I want to blank him. I want to win. I can take him down when I want to, but I want to make a statement that I can win in a dominant fashion from the top position. And he's doing it. I mean, this is relentless pressure here. Moving forward, keeping the pressure on the shoulders, on the hands. And Kane just can't do much of anything. And you can see, you all can't see it, but the UNC coaches staff, they don't know what to say. It's not like Kane isn't trying. It's just Trent is better.
Five minutes, 12 seconds. That is not a miscalculation. That is the running number, and it's growing.
Man.
He is going to end up with 5 minutes and 26 seconds of riding time. Just 3 ticks left. Hidley with a nod. I think a big flex is going to be coming. Maybe the electric guitar tonight in Charlottesville. We'll wait and see what his celebration is. But he has won another ACC title. Hidley clinches it for North Carolina State. It's only appropriate that the foundation of their team gets the job done for Pat Papalizio, the 4th straight title for the Wolfpack. He has such a personality. Nobody's been more dominant in the conference than Hidley. He adds to the growing list. A major decision win in the finals, and the Wolfpack celebrate. Not 1, not 2, but 3 ACC titles for Pitt's Jake Winsel just a few moments ago. Able to fend off Justin McCoy, Thomas Bowler, the runner-up from NC State, and Mekhi Lewis back atop the podium. Boy, you take a look at that shot right there. All 3 of those wrestlers, certainly national championship contenders in a couple of weeks in Detroit. We move to 197. Isaac Trumbull is 2-0 against Nino Bonacorsi, the national runner-up for Pitt at 197. Mr. Offense. This guy hits you from all different types of angles. He is one of the more entertaining wrestlers for the spectators to enjoy.
Absolutely, but he has a defensive stalwart in Isaac Trumbull. Trumbull has heavy hips, likes to get him low, and then also he's really good on top. He seemed to have figured out how to take care of Nino. And here's Trumbull, 6'3", 6'4", probably not a 97-pounder beyond this year.
Trumbull earned the top seed for NC State. Redshirt freshman, Springfield, Nebraska, unbeaten in ACC duels, and one of those wins was against Bonacorsi. In both matches, Trumbull, like he has done to so many opponents, has been able to smother the offense, and that's not easy when you look at Bonacorsi. So, Rock, my first question, when you have one of the most prolific shooters in the country in Bonacorsi, as he fires in early here, how does he crack the armor and try to get the 2 and change things up with Trumbull?
He's got to cut the corner, but the challenge is you have to cut the corner and keep cutting the corner, and that's what he's trying to do. But what Isaac Trumbull does a good job of is squaring up, and as soon as you get in on Trumbull, you have to cut the corner and kind of get to the outside because he's trying to get his hips square and heavy.
And we have seen that in the previous 2 matches with these 2 guys. Bonacorsi has been in on, shots that normally he finishes and just unable to do so with Trumbull. And we see it in the opening minute here in this championship bout. Trumbull got poked in the eye, so they're going to stop the match.
At that point, it's just the referee's time. If it goes too long, it could be an injury, but they give him some time just to, shake it off. One of the things you want to try to do with Trumbull is try to get him to shoot on you. His shots are not as good as his defense. But the challenge is that Nino is going to shoot now. Now there's a shot. That's what it was too. See, at that point, Isaac Trumbull took a shot. It wasn't a great shot. That would have been a good opportunity for Nino Bonacorsi to score.
Hey, you know, Rock, you bring up the point. You wait for Trumbull to shoot. That's just not in the DNA of Bonacorsi. Does he have to show more patience and try to wait that out? Is that the change?
You're absolutely right, because Coach Gavin said, we're trying to figure it out, how to beat him, and we know that we just can't shoot as often as Nino likes to shoot. It's got to be more precise in the shots. Usually when Nino gets to a leg, Nino Bonacorsi gets to a leg, he can finish it. It's just the length of Isaac Trumbull is a problem. There's a sweep now. He's got it. Now, you see what he did this time? He swept to the side, and then he came across the body. Now, this is close. This is close. This is close. There's the takedown right there. Good misdirection. He swept to the left and then popped his head across the body. Really good job. So as Trumbull was trying to square up, Nino popped his head to the other side. Misdirection. Good technique by Nino Bonacorsi right there. He kept sweeping. So he swept to the single. Look at the sweep single. And as he tried to square up, Nino popped his head to the other side. And then he was able to finish from that position. So he used the likelihood of Trumbull trying to square up, and he used his momentum to bring his head across to get to his takedown. So interesting now. Now Trumbull, it's just the first period, but now he may have to show himself a little more. And when I say show himself a little more, I mean that he has to be a little more offensive.
Closing moments of this first period, Bonacorsi with the 2-1 lead, 5 seconds. Nino Bonacorsi, the three-time NCAA qualifier, won a couple of matches in 2019, and then he was seeded 10th before the NCAAs were canceled in 2020. See what NC State wants to do, and Trumbull says we'll start down, so Bonacorsi goes right back to work on top.
Let's talk about the psychology here. 33 seconds of riding time for Bonacorsi. If Bonacorsi, he's going to try and work towards the riding time to get it to a minute. But he's still in control. Bonacorsi is still in control. So Nino Bonacorsi was able to get to that sweep single, but Trumbull was there to drop down again. Now he's got to keep going across. He's got to keep away from the hips of Trumbull. Now Nino's going to try and get to that point and pop it. There's neutral danger. Nothing
Just the
yet.
one count. One swipe on the neutral danger, so no points.
Nino's almost there. Nino gets another takedown. He's figuring this thing out. He's figuring him out by getting across the body and finishing it.
So for the second time here tonight, Bonacorsi has cracked the tall giant from NC State. Couple of takedowns. A leg in here, 4-2, inside a minute to go in the second period. Trumbull trying to get to his base. Bonacorsi with a crossface, still continuing to work.
He's got kind of a Turk there. So now the length of Trumbull is going against him because the long legs of Trumbull is allowing Nino to keep the Turk in there. So before it was advantageous to have the length, but now Nino is keeping the Turk in there, accumulating riding time, and Trumbull, because his legs are so long, it's harder for him to swim forward and to free, using someone's strength to be their weakness.
Stall call underneath on Trumbull.
So now Nino, who has the choice, is going to say, let me go neutral. I don't know if I want to go underneath. He's got 2 minutes of riding time, up 4-2. What is he going to do? And here's the shot by Nino again. Low single, and he was trying to get to behind him. And as Trumbull was trying to finish, he kind of ran the pipe and got across the body again. So as Trumbull tries to square up, Nino was able to get his head across. And Nino wisely took neutral for the third period. No need to go underneath Trumbull when you're up by 2 and you have 2 minutes of riding time. And this
now we see the progression of Nino Bonacorsi. You know, Gavin told us last year at Nationals, his 4-1 win against Jake Woodley, he was able to get an early takedown, and then he kind of backed off what he normally would do as far as strategic shots. Similar situation here with Trumbull, where he controls the course of this match a little bit.
You're right. And he's starting to figure out how to attack someone and take down someone who's giving him fits. And there's the shot. Again, that's the weakness of Trumbull. And that's his shot. He's a little more comfortable here. And so Nino's going to just take his time. No need to rush here. He's got plenty of time to finish. He doesn't need to score. He just needs to, he's got riding time secured. And so we saw Isaac Trumbull try to take a shot, and it wasn't a great shot, and there was another opportunity for Nino to score. So Isaac Trumbull has to come after Nino, and Nino's going to try to increase his re-attack, or re-counterattack, re-shots.
2 takedowns by Bonacorsi, something he hasn't been able to do in his previous 2 matchups with Trumbull. He's 30 seconds away from defending his ACC title from a year ago.
We got to tip our hats to the coaching staff.
Absolutely.
As a stall call against, you know, but it doesn't make too much of a difference. It's essentially a 5-2 lead. But as I said, we need to tip the hats to the coaching staff to figure out what are Nino's strengths, what are Trumbull's weaknesses, and what he really did was learn how to, as Trumbull tried to square up to get his head across to win his 2nd ACC championship.
The heralded recruit out of Bethel Park, just 12 miles south of the Pitt campus, is where Nino Bonacorsi grew up. He knew from his freshman year he was always going to be a Panther. And has he ever delivered his 2nd ACC title? But what a confidence builder. He finally figures out the puzzle that's been Isaac Trumbull. Bonacorsi heads to Detroit, an ACC champion. Quite a night from Charlottesville. Trent Hidley just a few moments ago taking his spot for the 2nd straight year high atop the podium. North Carolina State clinching the team title. And it's interesting as take a look at the heavyweight matchup coming up with Nathan Traxler of Virginia Tech, 18-2. A transfer from Stanford, Tyree Houghton, the heavyweight for NC State. And this is a heavyweight for the Wolfpack that has been a very competitive room all year when you look at Deontay Wilson and Owen Treffin, but in the end, Popolizio turns to Houghton, and he has delivered. And Houghton, let's not forget, earlier today, he was trailing 5-1. He was in real danger of losing in an upset, but he showed some perseverance. He battled back, was able to tie Brandon Whitman, and then he won on a stall call in the semifinals. Here comes the transfer from the West Coast, Nathan Traxler, 4-time NCAA qualifier, but that was wrestling for Stanford. He hit the transfer portal this offseason, never even made a visit to Blacksburg. Everything was done via the internet, liked what he heard. And man, has he been a big-time addition for Tony Roby and the Hokies as they try to make up some ground at Nationals in this heavyweight division. Traxler and Houghton for the title at 285.
Can you imagine how deep the NC State heavyweight crew is, that they have a returning ACC champion who's not a starter?
You always see strength in numbers, and typically a competitive wrestling room like NC State has been able to establish, especially in the upper weights. Really, they have it in every weight. But yeah, I mean, you have Wilson, who never got any time this year, and all of his accolades throughout the past couple of years. You have the youngster in Treffin, who succeeded when he was thrust into the lineup and came down to a late season wrestle-off with Houghton and Treffin, and Tyree Houghton delivered Pearson. quickness from Traxler, looking for the trip, and he fires the opening salvo for Virginia Tech.
That was a good sweep single right there. Top down, and when he swept the single, he finished it high. And when you finish high on a heavyweight, it's going to be a thunderous landing. And here's drop down with the sweep single. Lower level sweep single and come right to your feet. You don't want to get underneath, so trips high and covers. He hit that a few times in the semifinal match.
Traxler ranked 14th in the Intermat rankings, a 2-1 lead right now in this first period. You know, you look at Tyree Houghton, another thing, Rock, that I just remember, when you look at NC State, the RTC guys that these guys are facing as well. You see Traxler once again, second time he's in on the leg. Can he go 2 for 2 here on the sweep?
Not as high, so you might want to do something called run in the pipe, lower your hips and hike the ball, but he gets 2 legs. So this time, he got to the single. It wasn't as low, but he still finished it. Really strong start by Nathan Traxler here.
Couple of takedowns for Traxler and a 4-1 lead. He won a Pac-12 championship back in 2019. He's always been so consistent. That's what I remember from calling his matches at the Nationals each and every year. Has always won at least 2 matches at Nationals. He just missed becoming an All-American last year. He went 3-2. And his nemesis from the West Coast has always been Connor Schultz of Arizona State. He would love a rematch with him come 2 weeks, Detroit.
Schultz is still around. So let's see if Houghton has figured out that Nathan Traxler likes to do singles to his right leg.
Traxler appears content with his body of work after 3 minutes and a 4-2 lead for the smartest guy on the Virginia Tech roster. Those are the words of the coaches that we talked to. You don't want to take on Traxler in a chess match. Jared Hout has tried a couple of times.
You're right. Jared Hout does engineering.
St. Charles, Illinois, grew up in the Midwest, as we talked about. Had a really good run at Stanford. 1 season in Blacksburg, and he has delivered. Had a 12-match winning streak throughout the course of the season. That was snapped by Quinn Miller of Virginia, but it was Traxler in the semis exacting revenge on Miller as he was able to win in sudden victory. He's looked really good in this championship match, in control. Hits a minute riding time, finally Houghton able to get out. Traxler with a 1-2 ride.
Let's see if he goes back to that single that he had success in the first period. One was a low single, one was a modified snatch single. And maybe Traxler feels that he doesn't have to do too much because he's not threatened by Houghton on his feet. There's the sweep single again. He thumped him again. And the takedown. Third time. Look at this. Lower the level. Look, watch the lower level. Lower level, sweep single, and come right up. He didn't stay underneath that area. And watch this treetop. Well, right to the back. Covers, gets the takedown.
Can you imagine how noisy this arena would have been had the team race not been decided? You go NC State, Virginia Tech, toe-to-toe.
NC State is trying to separate themselves, but next year, they're going to have a lot of young guys in their lineup potentially. all of these ACC schools are all about culture. You know, finding the right wrestler for their program. This kid could be just a certain personality, but if they're not the personality for their program, you don't want that person in the program. And that's not to say that the wrestler that they're recruiting or in their program is a cancer per se. They just may not fit the personality or the identity of the school.
And that was one thing Pat Papalizio cleaned up immediately, was the culture around Raleigh with his wrestling program. That first year, he had only 2 or 3 guys stay on the team. Following year 1 for him, as Houghton's in on his first shot. Look at Traxler's strength as he locked up the cradle, but he runs out of time as the period ends. And a brick comes in from the NC State corner.
Now let's talk about the first brick. What they're looking at is the takedown. It's an independent reviewer. Therefore, it's not the 2 officials that are looking at their own calls. And you hear a lot of people complain, if you're going to look at your own call, you're not going to overturn. But what the ACC did was wise enough to say, we're going to take it out of the decision of the officials and have the independent reviewer. So it's not questioning the takedown, it's questioning the time. So we're not going to question if he broke the hip. The question is, did he break the hip in time? So that's a takedown. He's on his hip. That's a takedown. What we don't know is the time on the clock. And that's what they're looking at. Well, not they, because the officials just stay in the way. It's just the independent reviewer, and they're going to make the call.
NC State loses the challenge. 2 points will stay firm, and Traxler with an 8-4 lead going into the third. You know, times have changed from your days wrestling, Rock. Social media is so prevalent, and the ability to recruit via social media, and that was a story with Traxler. We talked about he never stepped foot on campus in Blacksburg. It was assistant coach Jared Frere reaching out to him with a direct message after the season, just kind of seeing if there was interest maybe in Blacksburg, and there certainly was.
It certainly was. Sean, you made it seem like I grew up when there was telegrams. I'm not that old. I mean,
were pigeons in play or not?
It's called a knee slide, and Lily was sliding across the mat. One of the things that we notice is, as fans, you want to stall call, fan, or 5 seconds, or you didn't bring him back, it's attempts. You have to make attempts. And if you make attempts for 2 consecutive minutes and they're legit attempts, then you're not going to get hit for stalling. Look at the knee slide, literally sliding. Trying to. There was an attempt. There's nothing wrong with that. There was an attempt. Now, the question that may go into the official's mind is that, is he waiting till we get into the outside to then try to make the attempt, as opposed to trying to keep wrestling in the center? But what Nathan Traxler's doing, he's on a knee slide. He's sliding forward to stand up. So what Traxler's going to try and do is push that leg out. But a good job by Houghton to readjust. And this is one of the areas where Traxler has known he has got to get a little better on. That's on top. But at this point, he is almost out, still control. 1 neutral. Sean, you think he's going to go back to that sweep single?
I think one more time. In the cards, a 9-4 lead, Traxler. Tyree Houghton's having a tough go here, but the junior and in-state product for Pat Papalizio. Started wrestling late. Certainly been a workhorse. Trying to earn his spot in the lineup. 2-on-1. Traxler clears his left arm away. Half-hearted shot by Houghton. Traxler knows he's in control here. He's backpedaling a little bit. Not putting himself in a vulnerable position.
Yes, sweep single again.
One more time.
Let's go!
Is that almost a neutral danger? Perhaps almost a neutral danger. There's the neutral danger. No. Short time. Halton gets a takedown, but a little, too late. And Nathan Traxler from the West Coast to the East Coast. ACC champion. What a great pickup by Virginia Tech Hokies.
When they brought in Nathan Traxler, they wanted to get back on top of the conference in the heavyweight division. It hadn't happened in a while, but Traxler has brought ACC glory to Blacksburg. He might be the Thor of Blacksburg. Should take a look at the hair of Nathan Traxler. Becomes Virginia Tech's first ACC champion in heavyweight since 2017. Our colleague today, Ty Walls, the last one to bring home a title. All right, 125. We saw Bonacorsi figure out Trumbull for the first time. The question becomes now at the lightweights, can Jacob Camacho put it together against Sam Latona?
That's a good question. We're about to find out. One of the things that we noticed, Sam Latona, as everyone knows, he is losing weight a significant amount to get down to 125. When he wrestled his dual meets, it's usually an hour after he weighs in. But his first match was 4 hours afterwards, and now he's had all day to get his strength together. But let's remember, a couple years ago, Jacob Camacho wrestled against Jack Mueller, and nobody really expected him to win.
Latona, Virginia Tech, Camacho, NC State. Latona entering today, one of 3 top seeds for the Hokies, the defending ACC champion at this weight. As Rock mentioned, Camacho won the title 2 years ago, sort of an underdog that year. He burst onto the scene, beat Mueller, was named the most outstanding wrestler at this tournament. Has had his troubles, though, the last year and a half matched up against Latona.
Both guys have a similar shot, kind of a knee pull. They either will finish as a single or they'll finish as a high C. Latona likes to reach with his right arm to the right leg, right behind the knee, and finish it there. And Jacob Camacho has a similar shot as well. But Jacob Camacho likes to finish oftentimes in a waterfall position. These guys know each other. And I can assure you, after this season, this will be the last time these two wrestle at 125.
Latona standing a whopping 5'10" for a 125-pounder. He is going to jump up. Question is how much? Will he be 33? Will he be 41? Right now, all eyes on 25, and can he get the job done for Virginia Tech? No score halfway through, period number 1.
Jacob Camacho is a person that really studies the sport. He walks around for a book. He said the smartest wrestler that he's ever been around was Ed Roof from Penn State. He said Ed Roof's mind on how he saw stuff was unbelievable. When he said Ed would just break down things when Ed Roof was at NC State for a period of time. He just didn't notice all the things that were going on.
Really takes a cerebral approach to each and every match. Talked about Ed Ruth. He also respected Darian Cruz and his mental approach to each and every match. Documents all his notes. Used to carry around a notebook. He switched to phones now, utilizing the technology. Originally from the state of Arizona, he moved to Connecticut when he was 6 years old. Danbury, Connecticut, which is familiar for NC State fans. That has been a really good pipeline to Raleigh when you look at the Jacks, Camacho.
Not a surprise. These guys are still not feeling each other, but just know what the other opponent does.
No score after one. Flip of the disc, and it will be Latona's choice. He looks over for instruction, and he will start down. Cody Brewer in the Virginia Tech corner, the 2015 national champion at Oklahoma. He's responsible for recruiting a lot of the lightweights. They brought in Latona from Alabama. Big mat return by Camacho. See Latona just spring right back up, trying to rip away the grip. And he is away for the first point.
Neither one of these guys have really gotten to either legs. We've seen a couple times Jacob Camacho kind of drop down for not necessarily ankle pick, but trying to get to the lower ankle, the right ankle of Latona, and Latona is going to go for that little knee pull that he does.
Anything sticking out at you, strategic-wise, strategy-wise for both corners with two wrestlers who are familiar with one another? Any differences as far as how they're approaching it?
Yeah, I don't see anything. They know each other. There's the shot. And there's the waterfall that we talked about with look, is it neutral danger? But good hips right there by Sam Latona. Little knee tap action by Sam Latona. Nothing happened. Stretching the arm. So Camacho was able to get to the leg. He said, got to the leg, looked over to the coach, and maybe started to feel a little more confident.
Two wrestlers forehead to forehead. Latona drops in. His best scoring opportunity.
Watch the trip. Watch the high trip. He's going to try and trip him above the knee.
Doesn't have a lot of time. Short time, 7 seconds. Trying to cut across, seal the two. Roll through by Camacho. Camacho sprawls back and he fins it off.
Nice. 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 So it's the knee pull. Going around, trying to finish, and then it was short time, and Camacho knew that. And so he was going to just try and wait and wait and wait. And then when the trip came, that's when the roll was initiated by Camacho. The roll, back to his feet. Camacho took bottom, and Latona is going to try and keep him down. And Orion time is now going in the direction of Latona.
And so this match will get decided on the feet. Tied at one, no riding time.
Both guys have had good attacks to the leg. So we know that they both can scramble. Each have got to the legs, and the others have shown some really crafty defense. So we feel that these guys know each other and they know what to expect. Latona knows that Camacho likes to shoot to his left leg. Camacho knows that Latona likes to do a knee pull to his right leg. One thing I'm enjoying about Camacho, he's staying in stance. He's not coming out of stance. Even though there's a lot of motion by Latona, Camacho is staying in his stance. Look at this. Camacho's got to watch himself. If he does that, a lazy shot like that, Latona is long enough to try and get a goal behind. They know it's coming. There's a shot again. He's going to chase it. He's going to chase it. He's going to chase it. This might be the best one opportunity. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. He's almost there. He's going to bring it up. We still rolling. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. There's a takedown. Short time. He has figured him out. Camacho. Big stage. Figured out Sam Latona. Pull the takedown. Scrappy match. Scrappy match. Figured him out. Jacob Camacho, underdog again, like he was with Mueller, came through to get his second ACC championship. Here's the sweep, and here he just chases it, short time, finishes it to get his second ACC championship. Jacob Camacho got the momentum.
Go to the third period, tied at 2. A mountain's worth of riding time for Myers. So let's see if Philippi tries to cut into that. Real explosive start off the whistle by Myers underneath. Philippi elevates and returns him right back down.
A little presumptuous, but if Mickey Philippi rides Corbin Myers out this whole period, we're going in overtime. And Mickey Philippi is good on top. But it's a tall task because Myers likes to stand up quickly.
Yeah, Myers so good anticipating the whistle. You'll see him quite frequently get tagged for 1 or 2 cautions just because he's trying to time it so tightly. And here comes a challenge from Virginia Tech in the corner from head coach Tony Roby.
Looking for locking hands, but there's got to be a question of locking hands, but was there reaction time? There's no reaction time on locking hands on the mat. But it started off with Corbin Myers was on his feet, and then it came to, nothing there, so they're on their feet. So when he brings them down, there will be reaction time. So he kind of just kneeled and started to fight there. We can't see if the hands were locked, but you will have reaction time because you went from your feet to the mat. So here, yeah, I can't really see if there was locking hands, but they're the independent reviewer to see angles that we necessarily cannot see. So Coach Roby threw out the brick. You can't take bricks home. So it feels like, hey, this is worth challenging. And last time they wrestled, the match was decided by a penalty point. Could this be another penalty point with these guys? So here it is. What's the call? After further review, there was no locking hands. After further review, no locking hands. Mickey Philippi still in control, still trying to eat away at this riding time. And Mickey Philippi's trying to get that leg in. And of course, Myers knows that it's in, so he's blocking. He's blocking and blocking and blocking and blocking and got out. And he has a riding time advantage, so Mickey Philippi has to go after him and try and get to his single.
And Mickey Philippi has talked about this. He understands he needs to be more aggressive and neutral. He felt the narrative of him not scoring, keeping it close in matches was accurate in the past, but not so much now. This year, the new version of Philippi, and he's going to have to unleash some offense in the final minute. 3-2 Myers plus riding time, so Philippi needs 2 just to try to start thinking maybe a sudden victory and force an overtime.
And it's going to be hard against Corbin Myers because he darts. He's in and out, moves his feet, lowers level, kind of keeps his opponents off balance. And so Mickey Philippi, look at that. Mickey's on his heels, even on the fake shots. Corbin Myers isn't even committed. He's just acting like he's going to shoot, which keeps Mickey Philippi off of him. We're under 30 seconds here.
Philippi is really going to have to open up now, take some chances. 20 seconds and counting in this third period. Myers looking to come out on top for the second straight year in the ACC. Will he be a 4-time conference champion spanning over the 2 conferences that he's competed in? A couple of push-offs from Myers. Philippi, nothing to be found. And Corbin Myers has done it again.
Very excited.
Ryan Jack, another Danbury, Connecticut native, moving up from 133 a year ago. He's still not a big 41-pounder. Spent a lot of time last year on what he weighed. Very strong, has that Jack strength, and here comes Cole Matthews. Twice this year, ACC Wrestler of the Week, and yeah, he's healthy.
A healthy Cole Matthews is a dangerous Cole Matthews. And so this is what happens with Cole Matthews. Everyone knows that he is lightning quick. He has a really good front headlock. And if you shoot on him, he has a great reshot. So when these two wrestled before, Ryan Jack didn't do too much of the offense because he knew what to happen. And as soon as he took a shot, what happened? Cole Matthews did a front headlock, finished it, and won the match. So Cole Matthews is accustomed to people just kind of waiting and not doing too much of an offense on him because of his quickness. But Ryan Jack, he beat a very quick Keyshawn Clark, who was lightning fast. He got a takedown to ice it with 4 seconds left.
The only two losses this year for Matthews, D'Amelio of Ohio State, that was a one-pointer, and then he lost to Penn, C.J. Composto, 7-5, and that was at the Illinois Matman at the turn of the year. Low shot by Jack, submarine single.
Looking for a neutral danger call, so he's trying to pull it over. And now he's going to try and go under and look towards. Now it looks like it could be some. Look at this. We'll talk about shiftiness here. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Takedown. That was shifty. He kind of sat on his butt and then came back around. The guy can wrestle. Really good spatial awareness. Knows his body, where it is. Didn't panic. And this is why people don't like to shoot on Cole Matthews, because he's so crafty here. And he'll lull you to sleep, thinking that, okay, I'm going to pop up, and then before you know it, you're in a cement mixer. Before you know it, he'll throw you in a headlock. Cole Matthews, you got to be careful with him. He's dangerous. Look at the quickness there. Good job by Jack to get out. So he was sitting back and just kind of slipped behind to get the first takedown.
.37 seconds to go. First period, 2-1. Matthews behind the scramble, able to come out with the 2.
As you said before, Matthews will lull you to sleep. Looks like not doing much. But then he explodes, and you find out that he's behind you. So Ryan Jack is not going to fall for it. He knows that he has to be very particular when he creates his offense.
First period winding down, and the takedown by Matthews. That is it. 2-1. Cole Matthews out in front of Ryan Jack, who's trying to follow Big Brother's footsteps. There is his brother Kevin Jack, a 3-time All-American, now an assistant with Pat Pompalizio and this staff, and he's had a fun day watching his brother perform. 4-year starter for the Wolfpack, and as we talked about, 3-time All-American. It's always neat when you see guys return to their alma mater and help out inside the wrestling room. And we talked about Gwizdowski, what he meant for NCC winning the 2 titles. Kevin Jack, he kind of burst on the scene that first year out of nowhere. Remember, he had the red shirt pulled off. He was going to red shirt that first year. He became an All-American, and he never slowed down. Ryan trying to follow along those lines. They knew he was going to be the guy, though, this year. Here comes that underhook, switching to the front headlock. Look at the change, just bang, just switching different angles, different sides. Matthews trying to hit you.
One of the things Coach Popolizio said is the core strength of the Jacks. They have this unique strength. It's just, he said when you wrestle them, they have a core strength, but you feel it. It's weird. I don't know if you ever wrestled someone that just had this weird strength, like, hey, they're pretty strong. It just doesn't feel like the knack. Oh, snap down right into a single. So this is the same position that happened in the first period where Cole Matthews, I mean, this is the exact same position. Who has learned? And Ryan Jack said, you know what, let me just go back to my feet. I don't know if I want to get back to the same situation I was before.
Yeah, we asked Papa Please, what was the biggest difference between Ryan and Kevin? He said Kevin was just a hammer on top. Well, we've seen Ryan really good at scoring from his feet. That's been his weapon this year. Still very young, just a freshman. Ear to ear, the two wrestlers tied up, center of the mat, 30 seconds to go, and a 2-2 tie. Riding time in favor of Matthews, but just by a second, 1:01 riding time.
So, I wonder, since will Cole Matthews go underneath? He's got the riding time, and he feels pretty confident on his feet. So, I wonder, what is he going to pick?
We are about to find out. And without hesitation, he says, I'm going down. Luke Pletcher has been such a wonderful model for him inside that pit room. Pletcher from Ohio State. He was one of the seniors you felt bad for in 2020 when COVID canceled the NCAAs. Pletcher was the top seed at 141 that year. He was on course maybe for a national championship. Joined the pit staff, and when he first came aboard, he would tee it up with Matthews, and they would end up in football scores in favor of Pletcher. Matthews has closed the gap a little bit. It's just taught him so much these past couple of years, and it's really all came to fruition this year when you look at the body of work for Cole Matthews.
And this is where Ryan Jack was in the semifinal match. Down by one against a very quick wrestler. He's going to see if he can figure this thing out. And it seems to me every time Cole Matthews tries to get to an underhook, Ryan Jack kind of just backs out. But at some point, he's got to show himself. He's got to show himself. He's got to create the offense, and that's what Cole Matthews is really good at. When people shoot in on him, looking to the front headlock. So he knows he doesn't have to do anything. He's keeping his back to the center. He's holding center. And Ryan Jack is on the outside. And Ryan Jack knows that he's got to do something. It's 30 seconds. If he wants to be an ACC champion, he's got to put himself out there. Back to the same position. Back to the same position. Nothing yet. Is he there? Neutral danger. Neutral danger. No. What? Look at this. They're kicking and kicking and kicking. Nothing. And of course, Pop Lee is going to throw a brick. Of course, he's going to walk over and say, look. I think there was a little late on the neutral danger. Let's see what he's asking a question about. So he's going over to the independent reviewer. And the question is, what is he questioning? And is he questioning, there wasn't a takedown, but maybe the neutral danger. So at this point, Jack is trying to get around. No control, clearly no control. But here's the question. Did the official miss the neutral danger for 3 seconds? Did he miss it? We're seeing it in slow motion. So in slow motion, you're saying, of course he got it. But in real time, it is a different story. So that's my assumption. I did not hear what the question was. Quick look, and what's the answer? After further review, no takedown. Cole Matthews. No expression. Another day at the office. This is how he wins. Just like his coach. just like his coach, even kill. I was the number 1 seed. I'm supposed to win. This is the first takedown, the only takedown, controlling the hips, and just doing what a number 1 seed is supposed to do. I'm telling you all, he's going to be a problem in the NCAAs. Cole Matthews.
For the second time in his young career, Jacob Camacho has won an ACC championship after getting knocked off by Sam Latona, the man on his right. He was able to get revenge just a few moments ago and take his spot atop. While for the second straight year, it's Corbin Myers of Virginia Tech. You notice the theme. It's Virginia Tech, NC State as we wrap up this Sunday night in Charlottesville. And this one could be a dandy. Tariq Wilson, unbeaten this year, 14-0. His opponent, the always dangerous Bryce Indonian, ranked number 8. Indonian has had to overcome some injuries this year, some unusual illnesses with him, has kept him out of the lineup, trying to find his rhythm at the right time, and no better place than the spotlight of the finals as he makes his entrance, the junior from Kirtland, Ohio. Twice he's been the runner-up. Twice it was to Austin O'Connor, and now Tariq Wilson stands in his way.
If you tie up with Bryce Indonian, it's like applying to become an astronaut because he will throw you from any position. The difference is Tariq Wilson is crafty, and he's very good at staying close to the hips. Because he stays close to the hips, it's hard for him to be thrown, and he has really good length. This is a good match to end the night. Virginia Tech, NC State, Bryce Indonian, Tariq Wilson. Let's see it happen.
We are underway. The 10th and final weight tonight. NC State has already wrapped up the team title, the 4th consecutive title for the Wolfpack. And now Indonian will try to finish with an exclamation point for Virginia Tech and send them to Detroit with a little momentum.
Oh, good job. Right in on the hips. There it is. Hips. Right on the hips. Staying, as I mentioned before, Tariq Wilson does a good job of covering hips. And 2-1. And that's how you have to finish on Bryce Indonian. You've got to be quick and cover the hips. And that's exactly what Tariq Wilson did.
This is Wilson's 5th ACC championship appearance. Only his 2nd meeting with Indonian. Wilson has bumped up since his arrival in Raleigh. He was a 4-time NCAA qualifier, twice at 33, twice at 41, and now in his final year up at 149. And quite frankly, looking about as comfortable and confident as we have seen him throughout his very successful career. Relaxed, focused, wrestling loose.
And Coach Pop Lizzo said that he's noticed that since he's gotten bigger and he's enjoyed wrestling a little more. He said he used to walk on with headphones on before match, but now he's talking and he said Tariq Wilson is the funniest guy on the team. Yeah, when you eat, you can make jokes. When these two wrestled earlier in the year, Tariq Wilson really controlled every element and really stayed on the hips. So Bryce Indonian gets in. Good defense. Oh, look at that. Re-attack right there. Oh. Re-attack. The length of Tariq dropped down. Wrestling so well this year. Really wrestling well, especially against a dangerous Bryce Indonian. So Bryce Indonian got in on a single. Look at him. He gets in on a single. And then Tariq keeps the wizard and reaches over to an ankle pick. Keeps the wizard, ankle pick. Give me that too. And this is a position where NC State wants to assert that they're good, and that's on their feet. Another shot again. Upper body. Upper body. This is Bryce Andonian. But the length of Wilson is a problem. Usually when Bryce is able to get there, he's able to get close and pop his hips in. But because Tariq Wilson is a longer wrestler, Tariq was able to get his hips away.
Final few moments of the first period. And a 4-2 lead for Tariq Wilson, and the disc comes up his color. And he will go down. So Wilson up 2 will start the second period underneath. Tariq Wilson, the ACC champ last year, up a weight this season, had a 3rd place finish at the Nationals a year ago. At 141, 2-time All-American. See what he can do from underneath. Looks for that switch back up on his feet. Andonian still with a lock. And Wilson's away for the point.
There's something that Tariq Wilson is doing to make him feel really comfortable, because most people panic when you're upper body with Bryce Andonian. Bryce Andonian has a bronze medal at the Junior Worlds. Pretty important situation here where Bryce Andonian needs to make sure he tries to close the gap by getting a takedown, and if Tariq Wilson gets a takedown here, he can start to open this match up.
Tony Roby has told us on numerous occasions, besides Mekhi Lewis, Andonian's is his best athlete on the team. Lewis is exceptional, and then Andonian not far below, and using some of the quickness. He's been here. Again, the whizzer applied by Wilson. That's 3 times now that Andonian has been on a pretty good shot, and all 3 times Wilson has defended it very effectively.
So once again, he gets this thing on. So there's the whizzer, and they believe that Tariq Wilson kind of just scooted himself out. But to me, it looked like Bryce Andonian was kind of moving into Tariq. But, Coach Pablizzo said something to him. It doesn't matter. It's just a warning. Oh, look at a reshot there. My goodness, that was a good reshot. Right to the hips. Right to the hips. It's a quick reshot. Right to the hips. I tell you what, if there's a guy that's wrestling well, it's Tariq Wilson. That reshot there was so good. Man, he's good. And now he's trying to build up the riding time. Coach Pablizzo says, now call it the other way, meaning call it stalling for him to get out of bounds.
Short time, final few moments. Wilson eclipses the minute mark in riding time, and he ups the ante. Tremendous second period.
Look at shot, defend, reshot, right to the hips. This is how you attack Bryce Andonian. Right when he attacks, you defend and you go towards his hips. You don't want to drop down to a leg, get a single, because that's when he gets really crafty.
What a story Tariq Wilson has become for a lot of young aspiring wrestlers. Here's a guy who never won a state title in high school. He was a 3-time Ohio State place winner. 2nd as a junior, 2nd as a sophomore, 6th as well. And you look at what he has accomplished, 2-time All-American, and in control here, maybe on path to another ACC title.
Hats off again to NC State for developing talent. Looking to find the right person for their program. Clearly, Tariq Wilson was the right person, is the right person for their program, and they've developed someone that wasn't a blue chipper, but my goodness, is he good.
As we've seen from Andonian, no lead is safe when you wrestle Bryce Andonian. This guy can score points and bundles, and he can win those unorthodox positions. He's going to need a little magic here in Charlottesville tonight. And Wilson staggers down at the edge of the mat. Oh, boy.
Now, what happens here, it's either if they deem that it was a head injury, it's going to be a concussion protocol, meaning that he has unlimited time to figure out what's going on. So we don't know what happened. The officials have not said anything yet. They have not said, is it concussion or is it injury time? So what they're going to do, they're going to look. So he's looking. So the officials are talking to the trainer. And they're going to say, look, was that because he was a head injury? So at this point, it looks like he's trying to get himself together. And they're now going to look and they're going to discuss. They're going to say, did I see something to make me feel like there was a head injury? And once there's a concussion protocol, there's unlimited time. Now, if the officials deem that it was an injury and not a concussion, then Bryce Andonian will get choice. So the official is going to come back and tell us what's going on.
There is still a lot of time in this match, a minute 1. And again, clearly the concern with Tariq Wilson. He was stunned. He was wobbly on the edge. His eyes tell the story as we take one more look at it. Good to see him back in there. Take a look. Was this the moment where maybe they cracked heads or he landed? Yeah, right there. A lot of weight coming down on his head. There's no shoulder to absorb it, so let's see if Andonian can come in on the attack and if Wilson can clear those cobwebs.
A cradle. And Coach probably said, look. We don't need any bad points because Bryce Andonian do some Bryce Andonian type of stuff. And then you end up on your back. So who does that as a head coach says, okay, that's enough. Don't try to put him on his back. No coach does that, but they respect the Bryce Andonian-ness of what he does.
Did not want to get into the Andonian funk roll there, and they backed off.
Sean, in my years of watching this, I don't know if I've ever said a coach like, stop trying to take him on his back. Who does that? Anybody that wrestles.
Tariq Wilson, what a year. Perfect this season. He got dazed, but he regained the focus, and Tariq Wilson wins the ACC title at 149.
And man, he looked good. Tariq Wilson looked really, really good. Ending the tournament as champion and sealing it for NC State, who did and had a fantastic ACC tournament and a fantastic dual meet tournament on their way to the NCAAs.
How appropriate for North Carolina State. Their two unbeaten wrestlers take care of business tonight. Hidley's win sealed it for North Carolina State, and now we see Wilson with an exclamation point in the matchup with Andonian. And for the fourth straight year, Pat Papalizio and North Carolina State will celebrate an ACC championship.
They've done it. They were anticipated and thought that they were going to win, and they won. Fantastic year, but they won a national championship. They don't want a trophy. They want to be a national champion.
So for the 19th time in program history, NC State is bringing home the hardware. They are the 2022 ACC tournament champions, and they certainly have a lot on the horizon as they head to Detroit. What a day of wrestling in Charlottesville. NC State, your team champ. Virginia Tech crowned a number of individuals. Nobody more dominant this year than Trent Hidley in the ACC. Coming up next, it's nothing but net from the ACC women's tournament. For Rock Harrison, I'm Sean Kenny. Our fantastic crew tonight saying so long from Charlottesville. Thanks for watching. See you.